goes like this. I am the ocean's rough sound, its roar and odor of salt. I am the blackbird's pebbled eye, the barking of starving dogs, the row of school children, uniformed, walking the unpaved road. I am the narrow street in the spiraling hill, the yellow-headed flower between stalks of grass. I am the moth, searching the Bayesian night for the moon. I am the shuffling of dominoes, their slamming and the rising of dust from the rickety table. I am the smell of bread in the corner store. I am the morning, the humble breakfast, the tea and buttered bread. I am the yellow cup in our chewing in silence. I am my grandmother's laughter, which one day shamed the sun for having more brightness. I am the pink of the veranda, the stories in the white walls. I am my grandfather's drunken, wet cackling. I am a richness and a brownness, like the soil of the island places from which my virtue persists. For if I am anything at all, I am as much a cherub, a baby born under the light of my grandmother's gaiety, the infinite sky of my mother's patience. I am a promise given arms, given legs, given supplicant wide brown eyes and a heart by the mercy of people who visited the ocean as children, who combed the winds through the knots in their brown hair, who fell asleep as little girls to the percussion of raindrops, battering the tin roof houses their fathers and uncles built, who learned dance from the calypsos of Saturday and modesty from the piety of Sunday, and little boys who became my uncles and my father, and gave themselves in their youth to the pastures of makeshift cricket fields and the backyards where rivers fed the wild growing orange trees into abundance. I am the sweetness of people who learned it from sheathing sugar canes until it revealed its murky sweet juice. And for this, I am no less the fruit of a Jamaican guinea tree or the St. Catherine's countryside, where music is learned first in the bubbling cadence of rural speech. For I am also from the passion of my father, the endurance of his bones and the water in his eyes. I am a student, I am a dream, given flesh by the thickness of Myrtle Wint's skin, the dense Jamaican air she's taken through her African nostrils. I am the love of her husband, my grandfather, rebounding, doubling, softening still in masculine voice. And I am, if anything at all, an inheritor. For everything I know as intuition is in fact some subtle gift passed to me by island people. Thank you. So that is one articulation of home, because those places are home. To me, they are home. They are home more in my bones and in my skin and in my blood than in my mind, which is a strange and beautiful thing. I suppose it all makes sense. You know, there are many diasporas. You know, like many of us have chosen or not chosen even to leave home. Like a lot of us are far from home in one way or another. So I appreciate that poem because there are ways that I feel home that are hard to articulate. You know, my favorite poet in the whole world is a poet by the name of Dion Brand, and she's from Trinidad, which is also a Caribbean island, as you know. And her poetry makes me hear the ocean. And I wasn't raised beside the ocean, but I was brought up by people who were raised by the ocean. And so like, in her work, I can hear the songs, like, I don't know, like a churning in the blood, like something I know but I don't know. And it's like, oh, I could almost cry. Jesus. It's so beautiful. So I say that to say I can relate in a different way to Shevchenko's longing for home, his faith in home, his devotion like I found that his passion wasn't so much it wasn't a patriotic one so much as a nationalist one. Like it was like of his people, like it was class and people. Like, you know, it wasn't the flag necessarily, but it was the true spirit and substance of the place. which is something I found beautiful. So with that said, I'm going to do another poem that's about home in a different way. Home in the way that I was born in Scarborough, Ontario. Home in the way that I am both a fortunate and unfortunate product of severe Ontario winters, and how, more than almost anything, the experience of those winters is how I know that I'm home. Like, because I've been other places, I've thought about other places, and I don't know that there's anything quite as particular as winter in Ontario. And so this is my poem to honor that formidable force. It's called Home. I may never smell fresh cinnamon on an Indian woman's brown fingers, or see Guatemalan plums dangle like obsidian earrings on lobes of rural trees. Nor may I play voyeur to the sun when it hides coyly behind Kenyan mountains. But there are places I know where frost coats the inside of lungs, and all of summer's hornets cannot sting so sharply as when an invisible winter wind, where the moon is a dollop of pure honey floating in black tea, and we watch our white breath rise as the night steeps. There may have never been hibiscus flowers parting their red lips as I walked to school as a child, or mangoes dripping fragrance into my city streets. But on nights when I lay my body against the calm, snowed earth, the crests of my flapping arms bring angels to the surface of the land. So there is home for me between the struggle and the magic of each icy breath. Though I may yearn for new places and new things, though my fingers may grope for new textures, though my feet may call for new concrete, new muddied paths, new tones of brown from the bare flesh of the earth, no matter what freshness my senses crave, there will always be a familiarity in the dignity of cold, naked trees and the yearly martyrdom of fallen maple leaves. There is even a place, a certain city, I do not have to use my birth name because the streets have watched me grow. The lowering sun has so often cast its glances through my bedroom window. The wind that shuttles between the narrow alleys could tell me stories I've forgotten about myself. It could sing me the lullabies my mother used to sing. And I know that anyone who lives here could become the city's eyes, because we all know the red brick of the buildings. We have all marveled at summer's tulips and the crackling colors of autumn's dying leaves. But only those who fill a place with their passion can find the city's heart. This is the place where I learned how to breathe. How could it not welcome the echoing of my voice? I have given myself to the history of this place that has raised me. It has returned to me the knowledge that all the exotic sands and shapes of the world may be no greater a blessing to behold than the one pristine, unspoiled snowflake balancing on my hot-blooded finger in a place that is unmistakably my home. Thank you.